Good morning. Hey there. How y'all doing today? So it's time to pack up camp. I'm all ready to head out. There's a coffee shop down in Cross Plains that I'm headed to. Greg in Wild is already packed up and gone about 15-20 minutes ago. He said he's got some work to do on his blog, so he's going to go down to that coffee shop, which opened at 6, which means just now. He's probably just getting there. And I'm going to head down there and have coffee, and they have an avocado toast on their menu online, which looked pretty interesting. So Cross Plains has been a pretty nice timing. We got in a little early yesterday, so we did that visit I talked about at the headquarters of the Ice Age Alliance, and Greg and Wild has a meeting with one of them today since he's a Triple Crowner, and they're going to pick his brain a little bit, which I think is good for this trail. It needs experienced hikers to come through and sort of help them ask questions of them and sort of compare it to their other experiences. I don't have that much experience, so I talked with folks a little bit yesterday, but I think I'm done with the Ice Age Trail feedback for them. They were hospitable. I got to take a shower and got to drink a new brand of non-alcoholic beer called Athletic Company, which was really, really good. Anyway, this was a really nice designated camping area. It had the tent pad I was on. It had plenty of space for probably 3 or 4 other tents that were flat. I slept pretty well. My left shoulder was aching something fierce when I went to bed, but eventually it eased up, and so this morning is pretty good. And other than that, this is Data saying it's time to get back on trail. I'm only going to be... So my hike out of this segment, the Cross Plains segment, down to the coffee shop has taken me along the eastern slope of this ridge, and the sun is just barely coming up, and it's not cleared the ridge on the opposite side of this little valley yet. So it's about 6:15, so the forest is just coming alive. And it's a little chilly actually. I probably should have left my puffy on, but I decided to be bold and start cold, and I think I'll be all right. But it's a nice morning in the woods. I think most of this mile down to the coffee shop is also downhill into town, and about a half mile through town. Most of today will be on trails. There's a couple of like 1 mile or so long stretches of road walking, but it should be a nice day. It's a long day though. Actually, I said 19 earlier today, counting this walk out this morning. There's the bottom of the little valley I'm in. Counting this walk out this morning, the mileage for today is actually going to be probably 20 miles total, but I'm only going to walk this mile and then sit down and have breakfast, and warm up, and fill up my water bottles and all that kind of stuff. So the real hike won't begin, in my mind, I don't think, until I leave that coffee shop in about an hour from now. So but for the hikers watching, there are bridges which would suggest that there's water here, but there's not. Every one of these smaller bridges that I've come across has been bone dry. And it hasn't rained in 4 or 5 days, but still, these things look like they only get rain from winter snow melt, or maybe after really heavy rains. And they dry out pretty quickly, it would look like. Some of the flowers are out this morning. The trail has gotten just a little bit greener every day on a hike this year, so this week. So the valley I was just walking through is in the Cross Plains segment, but it's actually the S.B. Anderson Memorial Preserve. And that DCA I was at was called the Anderson DCA. And it might be the best one that I've been on the trail so far. And then the sun is actually coming up now that I'm up here a little bit on top of this grassy knoll. And I'm pretty sure I just go across the knoll and down the other side of it, and I'm at the coffee shop. So this is the end of this part of the Cross Plains segment. I just came down that hill, and as I carefully back up toward a street here, you'll see that in this segment they have a little bench and a kiosk right there in front of me, but there's also a house on each side. So I'm trying to be kind of quiet and respectful because it's only about 6:45 in the morning. Anyway, popped out onto this little suburban street. I am to go this way for a couple of blocks. So I'm back down into Cross Plains, and there's another view of the Ice Age Trail Alliance headquarters as I come south on Caesar toward Main Street. I'm supposed to be a block over, but I missed a blaze. That's fine. I'm headed this way, actually, over to this little place called Crossroads Coffee Shop. And this is Main Street in Cross Plains. Now, when you're out hiking a trail for a couple of weeks, you forget that when you get in the city, there are things like pedestrian crosswalks. Shit like that. So, Greg Inwild should be in here. I think. Might even see his pack sitting right there in the sunny window. So I'm might have a bunch of breakfast. I'm gonna worry about timing today. I'm hiking into a hotel in Verona, so I can take my sweet time about getting there today. It is a 18-mile hike from here, but yeah, I'll be all right. Anyway, here I am at Crossroads every day, 6 to 8. But I'm back on the trail now after breakfast with Melissa, and a trip over. There's a Walgreens and a Piggly Wiggly that's about 0.3 east of the headquarters. So there is a quick stop, a Piggly Wiggly's, and a Walgreens. So I went over there and got some sunscreen. So now I'm going to get back to hiking. So I'm back at the Ice Age headquarters, and Gary N. Wild pointed out that this is a mastodon in iron here, and there's a trailblaze, and the Ice Age trail actually goes right through the corner of the property. So you don't want to miss that. I'm not a purist, but I'm pretty close to it. So if you want to hike the actual whole trail, this is how it comes through here. And it's a nice little garden area, but also there's a little place to sit down and rest, and a little signboard with the trail in the area right here. And there's another blaze right here, and then we're going across that bridge. That's Gary N. Wild and Joe from the Ice Age Trail Association, but it's very nice. So it's supposed to go that way or this way? This way. Alrighty. And across that bridge. Woohoo! So coming out of Cross Plains, just after you cross across the creek, you make a left and then a right, which I almost missed. Gary and Wild caught it. And then you come up here and make a left, and you go up between these apartment buildings and these houses. And there's one of those nice benches that has a seat on each side of it, and there's a lending library or something by it. And this is the little free library, in case you wanted to drop a book off or get one. And this is another part of the Cross Plains area. And we're starting today up at we're kind of right in the middle of there where it says "You Are Here." Right there, and hiking down through that area and then out to a road section. So we're finishing up this segment of Cross Plains, and it's a pretty steep descent. It's well graded, but we're coming up on a road walk, which I think is only a mile or so, I think. But I just wanted to capture it because you do kind of come downhill fast, and the road looks like it's one of those busier state highways. So this has been a nice segment, but it did it leads you through woods and across an open tall grass savanna that is very much like a lot of the others. So there's a yellow blaze up ahead, and it actually looks like we walked straight across this road onto the other side. If I had to guess, that's a yellow blaze on the far side of the road. So actually this isn't the end of the segment. This is just a road crossing. So out into the open we go. So this segment hikes you around whatever this mound is, and it's surely some kind of a natural geological feature.
So on the Gaia map, they describe this area as the Mammoth Back Preserve.
Oh, so this must be called Mammoth Back.
Mammoth Back.
Does kind of look like the back of a mammoth, I guess. This big hump. This is really an idyllic little farmstead these folks have constructed, like a dang little Norman Rockwell postcard or something. And in addition to everything else, there's an Audi in the driveway. So whatever this fellow does, whether it's farming or something else, they're doing it right. I'd own that, wouldn't you?
I think he's managing farmers' money. I think he's a real farmer.
That is beautiful, though. It's really nice. So I don't need water right now, but if I did, I think you could probably get away with scooting down in this property and getting to this stream on either side. And the water's running pretty well, so even if it's a seasonal creek, it's running pretty well this time of year. So I'll try to put something up on far out if there isn't something. But it's a bigger stream than some of the others we've seen, and the water's moving through it, and there aren't any cattle farms around or anything, so I'm guessing the water's in pretty good shape.
It's called Black Earth Creek.
It's called Black Earth Creek?
And it's right next to that gravel quarry.
Oh, yeah.
May not be wise to drink from it, maybe.
Houses that, you know, these road walks on this thing are much better than I thought they would be. I mean, they're not all that hard. It's like there's all kinds of interesting, you would think of them as historical artifacts, but like this one clearly is still living in. Somebody's probably working this farm out of here, or living here anyway. It's been nicely maintained. It's a beautiful building. If I had to guess, that's 150 years old from the look of that stonework. And it's, you know, it's nicely landscaped.
Insulated windows.
Yeah, those are really new. So, and it's kind of ideally placed. It's got a couple of little outbuildings, and the front door of it opens up onto this little valley. Really, really sweet.
Reminds me a lot of the country houses in England.
Yeah, it has that look about that, and it's on some kind of must be on some kind of a bicycle training route, because this is like the third or fourth bicycle that we've seen today. Good morning.
Good morning.
So yeah, that'd be a nice view at your front door right there. Do you want to get your picture of this? This is an example of, it's a boardwalk, but nobody should count on there being water here, because this one doesn't look like there's a trip hazard too. That doesn't look like it has water in it very often at all, does it? This looks to me like it's an oak savanna, but at the very least there's a water body. And it's really nicely restored. We're still north of Verona a little bit, but it's really nice big wilderness area kind of thing as a preserve. And all around it are some really posh little suburban houses. So it's kind of nice. Some of these people walk out their front door and this is what they get to look at. So we've just reached the northern outskirts of Verona and come through this really posh little neighborhood that I'm a little surprised they let you hike through. But, you know, there's that old phrase, you know, living in high cotton, or being, you know, living in the tall grass. These folks are definitely living in the tall grass. There are about 5 or 6 houses on this ridge, and each one of them is a little bit different. They kind of have a Frank Lloyd Wright prairie feel, but not exactly. Each one of them is kind of unique. They all have a wonderful view out over the savannah behind us. And you know, and you could hike the Ice Age trail right from their back doors. So, yeah. So this might be the trail access to this is the eastern end of a trail access to one of the prettiest sections of trail in terms of the architecture that I have ever hiked anywhere. These are really some nice houses. They're well set apart, and there are little prairie preserves between each one of them. It's pretty nice. So we just finished up a road walk in the Verona segment. We're clearly in the more exclusive part of the Verona suburbs, but this little tiny road is just, you can see it's a stream of cars doing 40 and 50. They're pretty good about moving over, but be really, really careful on this road walk as we head into this next segment. And what's this one called? Has it got a name?
The Madison segment, and this is the golf course, 1.8
yeah.
miles.
Yeah, this is the one that's named on the maps, also University Ridge Golf Course. 1.8 miles, the Madison segment. So be careful on this road walk, though. This is the only really problematic road walk I've been on these things. And as a bonus, though, we're going to walk through the golf course in a minute, and we hear that they have water and maybe a restroom. So now we're at the University of Wisconsin's University Golf Course, and Greg Wild was just saying that he had never hiked through a golf course in all of his many years of hiking. And I haven't hiked that long, but I also have never hiked through a golf course. So, of course, this is also like the University of Wisconsin's golf course. So, you know, maybe it's not. Maybe they're more open to hikers coming through than some other golf courses. But it's been from the sort of the aesthetics of nice neighborhoods. These have been some of the nicest neighborhoods to hike through I've ever hiked through, in terms of houses, and we had sidewalks for a while. Yeah, we just stopped in the golf club at the University of Wisconsin's golf course here, and they were really nice and welcoming, and they have a bar and a restaurant, and the golf course is beautiful. But also, you can dump trash, you can have a meal at the bar, or drink or whatever. It's not a country club, at least it's not restrictive. They were really welcoming of people hiking the IAT, at least. And a really nice bottle fill in the bar, and chilled water, yeah. Yeah, so I'll put something up on that far out, because the trail is just, it's a 20-foot or 50-foot walk from the trail over here down their little side road. So this is just after we exited the golf club, and we're walking along the fairway. And here in a second I'll circle back, because it looks like a pretty nice golf course, like championship grade kind of place. And then up on the hill is that clubhouse I was talking about. And on the right hand side where you see red chairs, there's a restaurant and a bar, bathrooms, places to dump trash. There's a University of Wisconsin gift shop, of course, if you want that. And you can fill up water there, and they're real friendly, and dump trash and all kinds of things. So, and this is about 4 miles out or so from the DCA in Verona. So we're something like 16 miles into a 20-mile day. So we made it to Gus's diner in time for dinner, and then I went to my hotel and had a good night's rest. I'll show more about the hotel in tomorrow's video, but for now, this is Data on Trail saying happy trails to each of you.